Yesterday, I had the absolute pleasure of getting to visit the new Artist Alley shop in Toronto. This is an entire storefront designed to look like the Artist Alley that you find at comic conventions like Comic-Con or Fan Expo Canada, Toronto Comic-Con like you find here in Toronto. It's a shop where independent artists, many of whom make fan art, can rent out a space for their works to be sold every day rather than having to wait for the next convention to roll around. I went yesterday with my friend, and as an artist who exhibits at these conventions myself, I have many thoughts. So I'll be here giving you the rundown, what you can expect when you go, how to apply if you're an artist, and my own personal thoughts on the shop as a customer and as an artist. To start this video off, I just want to clarify that there are actually two Artist Alley shops, one in Montreal and one in Toronto. The one in Toronto is located at 665 Yonge Street. This is the one I visited. This is not a review of the Montreal one. I've never been there. Hopefully, maybe someday I will get to go and visit it, but this one is strictly about the Toronto location. When you first approach the Artist Alley shop, it is a very eye-catching, colorful storefront with a variety of products on display in the window from a few different artists. I was lucky enough to go in the middle of a weekday, so there was no line, but ever since its opening on October 25th, 2025, it has been known for having lineups outside the shop, with some people having to wait up to 2 hours to be able to get inside. That's how popular this shop is. So if it's possible for you, I do recommend going on a weekday to avoid having to wait in the lineup in this cold, although I think it has really calmed down a lot since then, probably because of the cold. When you get inside, there are 3 rows of art to explore. It took me about an hour to go through everything. I probably could have spent way more time there if I'd taken the time to look at everything in like super close detail, but unfortunately I was on a time crunch, so I didn't get that chance. I kind of got the chance to just like give everything a once over. You can expect lots and lots of stickers and keychains. There are also artists along the walls selling poster prints and clothing like shirts, sweaters, and jackets. There were also artists selling notebooks, keycaps, phone charms, tote bags, bookmarks, enamel pins, sticker sheets, hats, pillows, stuffed animals, lanyards, mugs, jewelry, washi tape, mouse pads, hair cloths, handbags, embroidered patches, and band-aids even. There is a huge variety of products, but you can expect stickers and keychains from just about every vendor. I would say that it is pretty heavily fan art oriented. There is definitely some original art in there, especially if you're looking at like the t-shirts and the clothing. There's a lot of original stuff there, but I would say it's mostly fan art dominated. But most of the fandoms represented there are either anime or video games, and I'm not super familiar with that stuff, so I could be completely off base, and a lot of it is original art, and I'm just assuming that it's fan art because it's a lot of like character-based art, where it's a keychain and there's a character on it, and I'm assuming they're from an anime, but it could be an original character, I don't know. And I saw so much K-pop Demon Hunters and Pokemon. Because I'm not the biggest anime or video game fan, those are two things that I can very easily recognize, because if I do play a video game, the video game is Pokemon. And so if you're a big fan of either of those two things, there's so much there for you. There's just so much. And I also noticed for the first time in my life that someone was selling like Webkinz stuff. Like I saw a Webkinz keychain. I had such a huge Webkinz phase as a kid, and I see nothing about them. I didn't know that people still remembered them, so that was a really nice surprise. And I wasn't able to get it this time around because I was on a super tight budget. The tight budget being $6. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. Toronto life, am I right? Anyways, I couldn't get it this time around. I will be going back later to go get the Webkinz keychain, but I really hope for that artist's sake that those keychains are so successful. I hope that everybody loves them. I hope you sell so many, and I hope that your pillow is cold on both sides for the rest of your life, because that is... Thank you. Now on to part 2. If you are an artist or a small business owner, here is how you apply. You can head to artistalleyshop.ca to find all of the application forms. On the website, you're also able to find a list of all of the artists at each location, which is super handy if you want to support local artists by following them on social media. Clicking on their photo takes you right to their Instagram account. And if you want to apply, just hit the Apply Now button at the top of the page and choose your location. There are 7 options for vendors: Discovery Table, Entry Shelf, Endcap Full Shelf, Wall Spot, Large Wall Spot, Explicit Art Wall Spot, and a pop-up table. Discovery Table and Entry Shelf are the same in terms of size and display area. You're given about 127 by 34 by 31 centimeters space with 4 tiers to display your items. The shelf and lighting is provided by the shop. The difference between these two is that the Discovery Table is for artists just looking to try out the space. It's an easy $250 for 1 month just to see what's up, and you're able to rent display items from the actual store, so you don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of display items if you don't know if that's your vibe. The Entry Shelf is $368 a month with a minimum commitment of up to 3 months, and the displays must be provided by the artist. Otherwise, in terms of space, it's the same as a discovery table. It has the shelf and the lights and everything. I really loved going in and seeing the use of the space by all of the different artists and the use of all of the display items. As someone who's never done like a storefront layout before, I thought it was super interesting the way that people were able to arrange their things in a way that it was super visible to me, the customer, while also utilizing the space in the best way that they could. It's especially interesting to me as someone who sells like mostly prints to see how artists store their items when it all has to be a part of the display. Usually when I do conventions, it's like I have one on display, and then when someone wants to buy one, I go under the table and go through a big messy box of prints and pull stuff out. So it's very interesting to see how people incorporate it into the actual display, that there is all of this stock. But the way that I saw people organizing their things, it was very inspiring for me. And I got lots of ideas from it too. The next step up is the Endcap full shelf. This one is $473 a month. It's also a 3-month minimum commitment. Shelf and lighting is provided, and the space is 70 by 34 by 127 centimeters. You also get to use the 2 sides of the shelf for display or bigger items. It's more space, it's better exposure. It's definitely better for more experienced vendors, people who are used to the storefront experience and who have lots and lots of products to display. There are only 4 end caps in the whole store, so it is probably something you have to wait a little longer to get into. Next up is the wall spot for $452 a month, minimum commitment of 3 months. This is one you bring your own custom shelf and you have access to one plug for your own lighting. You can use the wall to display your items as well, which is great for artists selling posters or clothing. The space available to you is 61 centimeters wide, 45 centimeters depth, and 300 centimeters of wall height. I want to know where these people find these shelves. I know that I would be on Facebook Marketplace looking for a shelf that fit those dimensions. This was my personal favorite wall spot display. Like I said, as someone who sells a lot of prints, I love how this artist had their prints sorted with them stacked along the side like that. So genius, so neat, so organized, and so clear. Next is the large wall spot for $546 a month. This one is very similar to the wall spot, except you get an extra 30-ish centimeters of width. This is the kind of space that if I were to do this would be ideal for me because of the amount of prints that I sell. Next is the Explicit wall spot for $50 a month with no minimum commitment, and you can stack this tier, so if you want more space you can upgrade to $100 a month and get twice as much space. About the same as the entry shelf, but with wall space. This is specifically for artworks with NSFW themes and like gore and horror and stuff, and it's in a separate room only accessible to people 18 plus. I did go into the room super briefly and it was like very empty. There was just so much wall space available, so if you are an NSFW artist, you should go claim that. I think there's only like 2 artists in there. Like, I didn't film anything because it's not YouTube appropriate. The final option is the pop-up table, which is an entire 6-foot by 2.5-foot table for a whole weekend at the shop. And this is only available on weekends. And you process your payments separately from the store, so it basically is just like going to a convention for a weekend, except it's just right there in the store. I don't know how many other tables they take or how many tables they take per weekend. I don't know. Cost varies depending on the time of year. From January to March, it is $100 for a weekend. From April to December, it is $150 for the weekend. This is realistically what I would try before going for a discovery space, simply because I am someone who's only ever done cons, and that is the setup I am most familiar with. And just to get a feeling of what a weekend at the Artist Alley shop looks like, you're getting 4 of them if you apply for the discovery shelf, so you want to know what like the highest traffic time of the week looks like. But it is also important to consider that 6 feet and 34 centimeters are 2 very different things, so it would be a very different experience. I think it would be a good way to just do like a super short commitment while getting a feel for the space and the traffic in the space, because I was there on a weekday and I did not get to check out the pop-up table artists, so I'll have to do that next time. Now for part 3, my thoughts as a customer and an artist. I do want to give a quick disclaimer that I did love every single artist. I loved everyone's art styles. I think every artist was super talented. They all brought a lot to the table and I'm super impressed with everybody. And I also love the way the shop is set up. What I have to say next is not a criticism of the artists or the storefront or the store runners in any way whatsoever. These are just my personal opinions, and they are more so what I'd like to see in future artists. And so if I'm describing you as an artist, you should go apply. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I am not much of a video game or an anime person, so going into the shop, all I really recognized was Pokemon and K-pop Demon Hunters, as well as that one Webkinz shelf. So there wasn't really a lot in there that actually appealed to me. As like someone who's really into fandom, I thought it was slightly disappointing that there was nothing really there for me. And because I'm not really familiar with like anime and video games, I can't really articulate what the true variety of art was. Like, I can't confidently tell you if there was a good variety of anime art there because I simply don't know anime. Like I said, I went with a friend and she is much more of an anime person than I am. She's also an artist. I ended up asking her last night. I ended up texting her and being like, hey, I'm preparing for this video. Did you feel that there was a lot of variety, or did you find it was the same things over and over again? And she responded to me saying that she couldn't find a lot of the like more mainstream animes, which was just confirming what I had kind of suspected already, and that she found it was mostly nostalgic stuff, so things that would have come out when we were kids, and there wasn't a lot that's recent and up to date. And so I was like, okay, that's good to know. But from my perspective, it was a very oversaturated with anime, and if you're not into anime, then there's not really a lot there for you. Because I am someone who's more of a fan of like sci-fi, horror, fantasy, and this probably isn't a place that I would come to buy things for myself. And I can say this pretty confidently about conventions I've been to over the last few years, is that there's an absolute dominance of anime in the Artist Alley, regardless of the con you're going to. Because like, I do go to Anime North, and I do expect there to be a lot of anime because it's Anime North. But like, even Fan Expo, Toronto Comic Con, Toronto Game Expo, it's just anime dominates everything. So when I'm wandering around the Artist Alley, there's gradually been less and less and less that I actually am interested in. And that's not to say that the artists creating these works aren't like very skilled, because they absolutely are. The art is always beautiful. My point is, it is very strange because I am engaged in such a wide variety of fandoms, a wide variety of genres, that it's very weird that there's gradually less and less and less that I'm actually interested in the Artist Alley. So I went to the store expecting something very similar, and my expectations were met. So going forward, I would love to see more artists of different styles, exploring different genres, and representing different fandoms. My favorite art style, obviously, because I do it, is realism, and so I'd love to see more realism. I'd love to see things like Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Doctor Who, even Disney. All fandoms that are super popular, but I didn't feel were represented in the Artist Alley shop well enough or at all. Even some Twilight stickers would go so hard there. I also thought it was really interesting that I went the week after Wicked for Good was released, and there's a new season of Stranger Things out, and now there's a new season of Percy Jackson out, or a new few episodes of Percy Jackson out, and I didn't see that represented in the shop at all. One thing I always try to keep in mind as an artist who does cons is to be so on top of what is new and what is being released at the time of the con, because there will be so many people looking for those fandoms. My most successful works every single year are the things that are popular that year. It's things that have come out recently. Like this past year was Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four movie had just come out 3 weeks earlier and there was no official merch in stores yet. So I was the first Fantastic Four merch that they were seeing ever. I shouldn't say ever because Fantastic Four has been around for a long time, but like Fantastic Four with Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby and all them. So one thing I think I would do if I were to take on this challenge is to be constantly updating my stock, to have items that are timely and relevant. So people who are looking for holiday gifts for their friends because they're really into Wicked right now have something to go and buy. And they know where to go. They're like, oh, Wicked just came out? All of the artists are gonna have Wicked stuff. Like, that's what I would assume, right? All I know is that to get me back and spending money there, I would need to see a greater variety of fandom. I would need to know that if the new Supergirl movie had just come out, then I could go to the Artist Alley shop and find a Supergirl keychain, you know? So basically my only criticism, because I absolutely loved everything else, is to see more diversity in fandom, more original art, and even art in different styles as well. Because right now this is a place that I wouldn't visit very often. And that is just my opinion as a customer. As an artist, I do think that this is such a brilliant space. It's so beautiful to have a storefront run by artists who have the same history and struggles that we do. I think the space is so well used to fit as many artists as possible, but still give them a fair amount of space to display their work. I think the prices of the spaces are so fair and so considerate. Like, the most expensive space at this shop is less expensive than a weekend at Fan Expo Canada, and that's 4 days, and that price is for a month compared to 4 days. So this is definitely a space worth considering for artists. That being said, I don't know what the traffic flow is like. I have been there once. I've said that probably 4 times in this video, and I will say it again. I don't know what sales are like for artists. I don't know how profitable it is. I've heard good and bad things. I think what the store runners have, they are using so brilliantly. Overall, it's a great experience. It is absolutely worth going to to. Even if you're not like an anime fan, it is absolutely worth going to and checking out all of these artists. It's in a great spot in Toronto. It's close to the Village, so you can go shopping at Artist Alley, then go to Stormcrow for dinner, and then go see a drag show. Like, you're set. That's the best day ever. Anyways, that is all I have to say about the Artist Alley shop in Toronto, and I do have to show you the one thing I did buy there, because like I said, my budget was $6. I did get this. Can you see him? This little guy. I don't know what he's from, but I thought the message was very inspiring. It says, "I will succeed because I am insane." I love that so much because I feel like I've been having a hard time like meeting my goals recently because I'm like, that's impossible. No, I will succeed because I'm insane. So that is the one thing I got. Anyways, that is my video on the Artist Alley shop. I hope that this is a helpful video for you, either as an artist or a customer. And I will be going back and maybe I'll make another video then, give you an update, see what's changed, see if they've got that greater variety. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. This has been so much fun to film and just go explore. I love exploring Toronto and then telling you guys about it. So I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.